Hey there, Jill here, and I am 3 weeks out today from my surgery date. I'm having a tummy tuck and a cyst removal, and I wanted to tell you today about how I chose my surgeon. Next week, I have a pre-op appointment, and so I will do another vlog episode for that and talk about what we went over and what that experience was like. But today, I want to talk about the 4 surgeons that I looked into and how I decided and what I prioritized in terms of choosing a surgeon. So I wrote down my list here. I think for me, number one was trust, reputation, and demeanor. The first surgeon that I looked into was somebody very well known in Boca here, that's about 30 minutes from me. And he's kind of like more of a celebrity surgeon, and he does a lot on social media. He has a huge following, a humongous Facebook group, and I've seen a lot of positives in terms of his magical hands, his procedures, his outcomes, but I've also heard a lot of complaints about his communication with his office and when he's been on vacations and timing of communication. I did sign up online for a consultation with him, and that was, a month out. And then it was, they charge for in-person consultations. So that kind of, wasn't all exciting for me. They really went off of pictures and a phone call. Not even a Zoom, but a phone call. And so I ended up having a phone consultation with one of his people, and it just wasn't super comfortable not having communication with the doctor. I also just had heard a lot of negative things, and my gut was just telling me that that wasn't the right doctor for me. So I moved on and I made 3 appointments after that. Looking through Google, looking at reviews, looking just locally. I did want to find somebody not only who I trusted, whose demeanor I enjoyed, who had a good reputation and great credentials, but I also, what I found was my number 2 was surgery date, having available surgery dates like precisely when I wanted to have it. So for me, this was very important. Surgery date was super important because I'm a personal trainer. I love to golf, and I wanted to make sure that I timed everything just right in terms of the things I have going on when I need to be teaching, recording, helping clients, when I want to be golfing. And so I really had my heart set on surgery right after Thanksgiving. So luckily, the next 3 doctors that I spoke to all had the dates that I wanted available. So that was something that also the first one did not have. He was booking out into March. And so I really wanted to do this now, do it at Thanksgiving time, and not be down and out for the summer. So I found 3 surgeons. My next one is that it was super important to me. I didn't realize how important location was until I went to 2 of those next appointments. One of them was literally about 3 minutes from my house. It was super easy to get over to the office. It was a quiet office. I had a really great appointment, and I did find that the next 3 surgeons, the offices were nice and quiet and calming, but this one being 5 minutes away felt really good, because I do know that you need to have somebody drive you to the appointment, pick you up from after your surgery, and also to bring you back the next day and for all of your post-op visits. So I thought it'd be nice to be just a few minutes away. So I had another appointment with another doctor, and then the second one of the next 3 in person was up in Palm Beach Gardens, which we were in Palm Beach Gardens yesterday for a soccer game, and we've gone up there several times for soccer tournaments on PGA Boulevard. It took me over an hour and a half at rush hour to get to this appointment where I was expecting a half hour and left 45 minutes. I ended up 45 minutes late for my appointment. So I did call, I let them know that the traffic was crazy and I was panicking. I don't like to be late for things. I didn't want them to be angry with me going into this important appointment. And I was just very uncomfortable that it took me that long to get there. So that was something that I was considering in this whole process, knowing that my husband or my mom would have to bring me to the surgery and bring me home, and that I'd have the pre-op and all the post-op appointments. And if I had to sit in the car for an hour and a half to go a half hour away, that might not have been a great thing. But I had heard so many great things about the doctors in this practice up in Palm Beach Gardens that I wanted to definitely give them consideration. The third surgeon that I went to was about 10 minutes away, still in Wellington, the town that I live in, and so that was good. My husband came with me to the third appointment because I really wanted him to be involved in the process and hear what it's like and the questions that come up, and ask one of these surgeons any questions that he had. So when it comes down to it, I think that location actually was pretty important. I eliminated the first one based on the fact that he wasn't doing in-person consultations and his reputation and just some of the communication. The second one I did rule out because he was so far away, even though his pricing was great. I didn't want to be nervous on day of surgery or going to my post-op appointments. And then, so let's talk then about cost. That is the next thing on my list. So cost for these procedures can vary so much. And I'm in a bunch of Facebook groups, and I can see when people post their quotes from all around the country and different doctors, even in the same area, they're all so drastically different. And there's a lot of things that go into that. Some is just the doctors and what their prices are. It can also be the facility that they're doing the surgeries in. Some of the practices have their own surgical center right within the practice, and others have to use a hospital. And if you've ever been for any procedure at a hospital, you might be charged for the practice fees, and then you're going to be charged for the hospital fees, including operating rooms and anesthesiologists and all the other things that go along with that. So the quotes that I received ranged from about $8,000 up to $15,000. And so that's a big spread, but I've seen people upwards of $20,000. It also depends on what procedures you're going for. Now, this was pretty, this is also another factor. So it turned out that the doctor I chose was actually the least expensive. And he was also the one that I felt was the most seasoned and had the most medical credentials as well. Because as I said, I also have to get a cyst removed from my breast. So I wanted somebody who had that medical background as well. One of the doctors, the one who was closest to me, she was also, I think she's pregnant, and she was due somewhere around that surgery date that I was looking for. So that made me a little bit uncomfortable. In case she went early or wasn't around to be there for my post-op appointments. She was actually not willing to do both the tummy tuck and the cyst removal in the same surgery. And that was a big thing that I really did want. And I knew I had to have the cyst removed, and that was why I felt that this was the best time for the tummy tuck as well, to remove the loose skin. But she was not willing to do both procedures at once. The doctor who I did go with, he absolutely was willing to do that, and he added on the cyst removal for only $500. Now, this whole surgery could have cost thousands if I had gone to a hospital and done it with a breast surgeon. So although that might have been more covered with insurance, but we have a high deductible, so I would have been paying my entire deductible anyways. So that was part of my decision too, was if he was willing to do that. And then I also found it was very interesting with the doctor who was not willing to do the cyst removal. She also, when I was in there getting quotes, I asked her, and this is something I want to tell you too. When you get a tummy tuck, a lot of women are getting tummy tucks from because of their pregnancies or big weight losses, but especially during pregnancy, when you're expanding your belly, you're making room for this baby, a lot of times there's major ab separation. So your abs, there's two sides of your abs, and a lot of times those abs will separate like a lot and they don't go back together. There's a big gap. Now, me personally, I'm a personal trainer. I have been working on my abs. I created my own program, Jill's Killer Abs. I've also created workouts called Jill's Best Abs. And these ab workouts and my focus on my abdominals over the years have absolutely helped to repair any muscle separation that I might have had. So when I went into the doctor, I said, I really have no need for muscle repair, because that's what they tend to do during tummy tucks, is include this sewing back together of the abs and bringing them in tight. And many women are looking for smaller, snatched waists, and so that is what creates that snatched waist, is pulling those abs in together. You'll also see more predominant abs going down the center when they do this muscle repair. Now, for me as a personal trainer, somebody who's very proud of the abs that they've built, I absolutely did not want any muscle repair. And so I asked the second doctor I saw if she was the first one I saw in person, if she could do the surgery without muscle repair. I didn't want any liposuction. There's no fat. It's just skin. And her office called me back and they said that she is not willing to do tummy tucks without muscle repair, because that's part of her signature artwork. She feels that this is her art, and that is part of her procedure, that she's very good with the muscle repair. So that kind of took that doctor out for me. She also, the difference between her and the other doctors is that she does a drainless tummy tuck surgery. So most surgeons will insert drains, and so you generally have two drains, one on either side, and it'll drain all the fluids that build up when you're healing from your surgery, and it drains them out so that they don't get caught in there and create what they call seromas, or harden up or create any infection. And so you really want a lot of that fluid to drain. I don't totally understand drainless tummy tucks, but I do know that many people feel it's very important to have that proper drainage for the best healing process. Some people don't want to have drains. They just find them inconvenient. So I think that's maybe something that makes her stand out from others, is for those who do want drainless surgeries. So I was happy to have drains and have the best healing for myself. So let's talk about some other options within. So here's again my list of priorities when choosing a surgeon. Trust, reputation, demeanor, credentials, that's number one. It's like a gut feeling. How do I feel with this surgeon? The second one was your preferred surgery date. Are you just taking a date 6 months out because that's when they have first available, or are you going to get the time that works best with your life and what you have going on? The next one is location. Do you want to be somewhere close? I know there's plenty of people who actually fly to their surgeon, which means that they may not even have a pre-op appointment with their surgeon and not see their surgeon prior to surgery day, which for me makes me uncomfortable. I need to know everything that's going on, so I can't wait for my pre-op appointment next week, where the doctor tells me everything I need to go get, what I need to prepare for, what I need to do or not do, how am I going to do recovery post-op, how much help am I going to need, what supplies, and all these things. So location, cost, certainly something that you need to consider. There's a huge difference between $8,000 and $15,000. So what are you able to do? There are many options for using credit. They have health credit. One company is called Care Credit, but a lot of these surgeons actually partner with companies that will give you kind of like a credit card so that you can make payments. So it pays the doctor immediately, and then you can pay them back over time, oftentimes with 0% interest over, say, 6 months. Some are only 3 months. You have to be careful with those, though. So cost, and then procedures. Are they going to do the procedures that you want? So some people want muscle repair. Some people want liposuction. Some people just want the skin removal and tummy tuck. Very simple. So another thing is that different doctors will tell you about scar placement. If you look at before and afters of scars that they've done, then you can see if they do a low scar, a high scar. There is also something called a fleur-de-lis, which means that you have a scar, a vertical scar down the middle. Some people, I think, with excess skin, a lot of excess skin, end up having to have that fleur-de-lis. Some doctors, including mine, they might do a little T-scar, which means that my doctor, and why I really trusted him, is that he said that I might not have enough loose skin to pull down tight enough that the scar could be low enough. So he might have to have an extra incision where my belly button currently is to sew that together this way. So my scar might actually be a little T, so across and come up a tiny bit, still low, but he wants to make sure I have the best result, and that everything is tucked perfectly. So he said that that might end up happening, that he has to do a T-scar. Will I be okay with that? You also have some doctors that will do circumferential, which means they're going all the way around. Mine might not be. Mine actually, he may only stay at my belly button and below, which can make it considered a mini tummy tuck. It all really depends on what the surgeon finds and what he can accomplish when he opens up the skin and starts to go in there and do that. Another thing that I really appreciated in my doctor was that he actually started poking around on my stomach, and he felt that I might have an umbilical hernia, which I'm not sure when that would have happened, if it was during my own growing up or with the kids having babies and pushing them out, but I might have kind of like a swelling or a hernia in my own belly button, which is something that he can repair when he's in there. Many women have that issue. And then another big thing to consider is a lot of doctors will offer you a pain medication called Exparel. It's a shot that they can inject inside while they're in there that is pain relieving. So it's basically to numb the pain, because this can be very painful. What I've heard is the most pain comes from liposuction and muscle repair. So I'm hoping that my pain is minimal. Some women report having no pain, maybe just a little pressure or discomfort, especially with the Exparel shot. So my doctor actually offered me Exparel at his cost. I forget if he said it was $250 or $350, but for a huge surgery like that, and for comfort and quicker recovery and feeling good and being able to walk around and do different things, I'm going for that shot for sure. I think what's really important too is that you feel comfortable dealing with the company as a whole, not just the doctor, but their staff, their nurses, their billing people. So at the first doctor, the woman who I saw, who I ended up ruling out, who did the drainless and who insisted on muscle repair, would not do the cyst. Another reason why I was not very happy with her office is that I had gotten the quote from them and I signed it and everything, and I went home and I got a call from the woman who I had sat with doing the quote, and she called me and she said, hey, I just wanted to say, I'm new here and I made a mistake and I should have charged you, $500 more for this thing. And so I was like, okay, well, you're going to charge me more now? And then I was like, all right, whatever, because I already kind of knew I wasn't going with them. And then she called me back again and told me she wanted to add more money on, like another $1,000 or $2,000. And I was like, you know what? And I just told her straight, because that's who I am. I said, I have clients too, and I have sales calls, and I quote people, and I have contracts. And if I misquote somebody, then that's on me. That's my problem, and I have to eat that up. But I don't continue to call back my clients and say, hey, I realize I should have charged you more for this. I'm just going to charge you more now. So that kind of rubbed me wrong. And the doctor that I chose, I thought that his nurses were super personable. I'm friendly now with them. I'm excited. They're getting excited for me. And I also felt that the woman in billing was very great at communicating, at making sure I understood the line items on the quote. And they have not called me back to add more onto my bill. So that's about it. If you have any questions about choosing a plastic surgeon, about some different surgeries, then let me know. I've been learning so much from YouTube, from Facebook groups, and from just trying to stay connected and getting to know what's important in all of this. I've also had so many women who have either gone to my surgeon, have had surgeries in the area, or are having surgery or had surgeries this month. I'm in one particular Facebook group that is for those who are getting the surgeries in November. And so we're seeing each person as they go one by one, and any issues or non-issues that they're having. And it's very exciting. And we wish each other well on day of surgery, and keeping everybody updated on recoveries is really cool too. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and I will keep you updated on what happens at my pre-op appointment next week. All right, take care.